A CBS 4 I-Team investigation. Parents in one Fort Lauderdale neighborhood are expressing outrage tonight over what the CBS 4 I-Team has uncovered. There are plans to try and build a school right next to what was a toxic waste site.
It was so contaminated it made the government's list of Superfund sites in need of cleanup. The cleanup at the site happened, but CBS 4 Chief I-Team investigator Michelle Gillen says it's what happened next that might shock you.
When you hear the word dioxin, what do you think?
Poison. Poison.
A poison, the mention of which makes 85-year-old Claude Marquez shudder. Dioxin, it's his neighbor. It's in the fish in the lake behind his house, and the sediment and soil here was once swollen with it. In fact, see this inviting grassy hill? Just beneath that layer of grass and an artificial cap sits what was one of the nation's most hazardous waste sites.
And now we hear that someone has some interest in building a school here?
The school, yes. Yes, that's right.
And when you heard that, what did you think?
I almost flipped.
The CBS 4 I-Team has learned of plans to build a charter school on a former junkyard that's just steps from what was a city garbage and incinerator site, the Wingate dump that for decades spewed toxic ash on this neighborhood. The property sits on the lip of a lake you might not want to swim in.
Children under 6 and pregnant women shouldn't eat any fish from these lakes. So, should they go to school here?
Doesn't make any sense at all. Seems to me that would be a little dangerous, don't you think?
A question we wanted to pose to MG3 Developer Group of Hollywood. Gustavo Bocamolni is listed on the company website as a principal. Records show his company purchased the plot next to the Wingate Superfund site and the lake. I asked about their proposal for a school.
Which one?
In the Wingate area.
Which is Wingate?
We don't have anything on Wingate.
But their own map on their own website shows that Wingate address.
People want to know how we could be involved with proposing a school to be on property that's next to an area that's been so contaminated in the past.
We can schedule something so we can explain you with the experts and everything.
The developers never did get back to us.
Safety and security is a great issue.
Meet Rod Sassy. He's the director of Imagine Charter Schools, Broward County. According to documents submitted to the zoning board, MG3 Developer Group plans to build an Imagine Charter School on the site we've been telling you about.
Tell me about why building a charter school there.
Well, first of all, it's not necessarily that area. It's the community. The community has come to us.
Can you give me some names of people from that community who want a school on that street?
I'm talking about parents and other people that we've talked to. Not necessarily on that street again.
Well, we're talking about that street.
It is so outrageous. It's beyond outrageous. Everybody that I've talked to in the neighborhood, they're furious. The first they think I'm joking.
Luis Caro is an environmental attorney with the Legal Aid Service of Broward County, which has for years demanded better cleanup of the contamination from the Wingate dump. Her thoughts on building a school here?
It's just not a good idea. This just cannot happen here.
It's a facility for young children that they're proposing to build on a site that's a former junkyard that sits next to the former Superfund site.
Which will not be approved by the regulatory agencies if it has all of what you are saying about it.
The school board has approved the charter school's initial application without knowing where it would be built.
So the school board's just voting on a charter school with no address.
The state law allows them to approve the application without a site specific.
Following our interview, Sassy informed me that just that day he filed with the school board to delay his project, which means he doesn't have to provide an address anytime soon. Meanwhile, the zoning board is set to once again take up the developer's proposal next week.
It shows attitudes have not changed. Come on. This is the same community that has been suffering so long. This is like adding an extreme insult to injury to even consider it.
The Environmental Protection Agency says the cleanup and capping of that once toxic land has worked. According to the agency's 2005 review, it remains protective of human health and the environment. But as far as building a school next door, an EPA official tells me that's a decision for state and local government. Stay tuned as we follow that story. Michelle Gillen, the CBS 4 I-Team.